Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kayona, and it is my pleasure to be able to interview Ms. Robby Spring as part of the CSPC's 2022 interview series. Welcome, Robby.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
First, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself, about your role at Admari Bioinnovations, and a bit about the organization?
Sure, of course. So I am Chief of Staff to the CEO. I've been in this role since August, so fairly recently. And my goal is really to help our CEO drive the strategic initiatives of our organization. And so Admari Bioinnovations stems from the name or the Canadian motto, Amari Usk Admari, which means from sea to sea. Admari is a pan-Canadian organization, and we have offices in Montreal, Vancouver, and most recently in Toronto as well. Our goal is really to promote Canadian life sciences and put it on a global stage.
That's awesome, and thank you so much for sharing that. So based on Admari's history, how would you say the company knits regions together and contributes to Canada's life sciences ecosystem?
Yes, so as I said, we're pan-Canadian, so we are in Montreal, Toronto, and in Vancouver, and we really help the Canadian life sciences by doing three things. We build companies, we build ecosystems, and we build talent. And we reinvest our returns back into building the Canadian life sciences ecosystem to ensure its long-term sustainability.
Where does Admari envision itself post-pandemic in the next few years in terms of doing all those things that you just described?
For sure. So we're extremely excited about the Canadian life sciences ecosystem. Canada's built incredible infrastructure across our hospitals, our research institutes, across universities and industry. Our industry has been able to thrive and build these biotechnology hubs that have attracted billions of dollars in risk capital, and that's ensured that there's a place now for future companies with long-term sustainability and long-term prospects here in Canada. In terms of what we're doing by building companies, building ecosystems, and building talent, we will continue to do that and leverage the amazing capacity that we have here in Canada by 2025 and beyond.
That's awesome. Yeah. And given that Admari was established in 2019, which is just a bit before the global pandemic started and really took off in 2020, how would you say that the pandemic has really impacted, or has there been an impact from the pandemic on the work of Admari in recent years?
The pandemic was a historical force of change, and we're just starting to see now the opportunities and challenges that it's presented, and that's we're going to see going forward. We feel privileged to be working in an industry that played such a pivotal role in combating the pandemic. At Admari, what we've really seen is that a strong and sustainable life sciences industry is essential for innovation and economic growth and recovery going forward, and we'll continue to do work as a result of that and build up the industry as well.
Wow, and that's really important. So thank you very much for sharing that, because that is really necessary as we rebuild our economies going forward. As a national leader committed to strengthening Canada's life sciences ecosystem, how has Admari worked to contribute to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal of ensuring healthy lives and promoting health and well-being for all?
Yeah, so through our research and development teams, as well as our portfolio companies, we contribute to SDG number 3. We're extremely proud of our portfolio companies, and this includes Zuccara Therapeutics. Zuccara in September announced positive proof of concept data for its therapy ZT01, which allowed them to secure funding for a phase 2 clinical trial. We expect this trial to start in Q1 of 2023. ZT01 helps restore glucagon secretion, which prevents hypoglycemia. This in turn can actually help in the chronic disease management of diabetes patients, which not only helps their health, but helps their quality of life. This is just one example of how our companies are improving or have the potential to improve the health and well-being of individuals worldwide.
Wow. So how did the need to optimize Canada's life sciences commercialization landscape arise?
We really saw a resurgence of commercialization in the Canadian life sciences as a result of the pandemic. The pandemic shone a light to Canadians that we have to be autonomous in terms of vaccines and other therapies. We have to have the ability to actually build and scale companies as well as have large-scale domestic manufacturing capacity, not only for the health of the Canadians, but also for long-term sustainability of our industry. At Admari, what we do in terms of building companies is that we partner with and we invest in innovators and entrepreneurs, which are namely academic researchers, as well as Canadian life science companies. Our over 27 companies, portfolio companies, have attracted over $1.4 billion in risk capital. They employ close to 1,000 Canadians and have a combined value of over $3 billion.
That's amazing. That's quite an achievement.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. And thank you so much for sharing a bit about the amazing work that Admari Bioinnovations does. In your opinion, and what is your opinion of the CSPC and its position in the community for convening, connecting, and capacity building in the science and life in the life sciences and policy landscape?
CSPC provides tremendous value to the entire life sciences ecosystem, and the great part about it is that it brings together all stakeholders from science and policy and shows that the two go hand in hand together.
It sure does. And thank you again for that. We are very thankful, Robby, for your time today with us and for engaging with the CSPC. What do you see is the biggest benefit of attending and supporting this year's conference?
So Admari is thrilled to be attending and supporting CSPC, and we're just so happy to be here back in person again.
That's awesome. And we're happy to have you here as well. Thank you very much, really. Thank you again for your time and for having and for supporting the conference this year. It was a pleasure to be able to speak with you today.
It was a pleasure to speak with you as well.
Thank